Chemical analysis is an essential tool used in various industries to identify, quantify, and characterize the chemical composition of different materials. There are various methods used for chemical analysis, each with its own advantages and limitations. In this article, we will discuss the most common methods of chemical analysis. Spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is a technique used to study the interaction between electromagnetic radiation and matter. This method is widely used in chemistry, physics, and biology to identify the chemical composition of a sample. There are several types of spectroscopy, including infrared spectroscopy, ultraviolet visible spectroscopy, and nuclear magnetic resonance (NMR) spectroscopy. Infrared spectroscopy is used to identify the functional groups present in a molecule by measuring the absorption of infrared radiation. Ultraviolet visible spectroscopy is used to determine the presence of unsaturated compounds, such as double bonds or aromatic rings, by measuring the absorption of ultraviolet or visible radiation. NMR spectroscopy is used to determine the molecular structure of a sample by measuring the interactions between magnetic fields and atomic nuclei. Chromatography. Chromatography is a separation technique used to separate the different components of a mixture based on their physical and chemical properties. There are several types of chromatography, including gas chromatography, liquid chromatography, and ion exchange chromatography. Gas chromatography is used to separate volatile compounds based on their boiling points and vapor pressures. Liquid chromatography is used to separate non-volatile and semi-volatile compounds based on their solubility and chemical affinity. Ion exchange chromatography is used to separate charged compounds based on their interactions with charged resins. Mass spectrometry. Mass spectrometry is a technique used to determine the molecular weight and chemical structure of a sample. This method involves ionizing the sample and then separating the ions based on their mass-to-charge ratio. There are several types of mass spectrometry, including electrospray ionization, ESI, matrix-assisted laser desorption/ionization, MALDI, and time-of-flight, TOF, mass spectrometry. ESI mass spectrometry is used to ionize compounds in solution, while MALDI is used to ionize solid samples. TOF mass spectrometry is used to measure the mass-to-charge ratio of ions by measuring the time it takes for the ions to travel a certain distance. Titration. Titration is a method used to determine the concentration of a solution by reacting it with a standard solution of known concentration. There are several types of titration, including acid-base titration, redox titration, and complexometric titration. Acid-base titration is used to determine the concentration of an acid or base by reacting it with a standard solution of the opposite type. Redox titration is used to determine the concentration of a reducing or oxidizing agent by reacting it with a standard solution of an oxidizing or reducing agent, respectively. Complexometric titration is used to determine the concentration of metal ions by reacting them with a chelating agent, such as EDTA. Electrochemistry. Electrochemistry is a technique used to study the chemical reactions that involve the transfer of electrons. There are several types of electrochemistry, including potentiometry, coulometry, and voltammetry. Potentiometry is used to measure the potential difference between two electrodes in a solution, while coulometry is used to measure the amount of charge passed through a solution during an electrolysis reaction.